Okay, I've recorded this like 5 times now and I keep deleting it because I'm really nervous. But hello, welcome to the Refinement Challenge. I'm your host, Elizabeth Rogers. That's really weird to say. But for the period of this podcast going further, feel free to call me Beth. Everyone calls me Beth, so you can too. Go for it. It's really nice to meet you and I'm really excited to go on this journey with you. I feel that I should explain why I'm even making this podcast in the first place. Overall, I really aspire to help people, especially when it comes to self-development, and I really want to help people to become the best versions of themselves that they can be, and with that becomes this podcast. So with that out of the way, this first episode, we're going to be discussing the importance of protecting your peace. And what do I mean by that? This world is filled with givers and takers, but unfortunately it is mostly outrun by the takers. And it's taken quite a few situations myself to finally understand what that means. But now I do, and I'm sure that a lot of people pleasers will understand that it gets to a point in time where you're cornered and you realize that no one really wants to give to you, they just want to take from you. And that's extremely unhealthy, and there's a reason why I'm not a people pleaser anymore, because I'm fucking over it. So that's what this episode's gonna be about. We're just gonna dive right into it. So we're gonna start with the first point on how we protect our peace. Boundaries, everyone. Let's start setting them. Yes? Okay, let's do that. Why do we set them? It's so critically important, because not only are you respecting yourself by setting boundaries that feel good for you, but other people start respecting you more, because you're putting out into the world that, hey, I'm not here for you to walk all over. I'm not here as a doormat. I'm a person. You need to start treating me with respect, and I'm not going to deal with it. You need to start respecting me more. And I've noticed the more boundaries that I set, the more respect I've been given, because it wakes people up. That's why we set them. It also wards off burnout. It can be so insanely exhausting to constantly have to give and give and give and give to everyone, and having all of these major expectations set on you. Oh my God, I've got pins and needles in my foot. I'm sitting on the floor. I can't move now. Oh my God. Okay, let's just continue. Yeah, so it's so critically important because it is so draining to be a people pleaser. People are constantly taking and taking from you and having all of these expectations from you, and it corners you into burnout, and it's exhausting. So that is why we set boundaries. It clears unverbalized expectations and things that people kind of just assume you'll do, and assume that you'll do just because you've been doing it this whole time, which obviously isn't great in itself, but as a people pleaser, I understand why we do it. It stops that from happening, and that's why we verbalize these things, and that's why we communicate these things, because people take, we know this. But I cannot believe, from past experiences, I cannot believe some situations that I've been in myself where I've had to take a step back and go, are you kidding me? That is why you don't want to corner yourself into the last minute situation of, no, oh my God, because it's horrible. No, we're not doing that. We just cannot do that. So it is so fucking important that we set boundaries as quick as you possibly can, especially if you're just starting new friendships, new relationships, because you're putting that on the table for discussion immediately, and you're getting that respect as soon as possible. That is why we set them. How do we set them? We openly communicate and we explain thoroughly. The way I like to do it personally is, when I first set a boundary with someone, I'm quite kind about it, obviously, because this person didn't know about this boundary before I've put it on the table for discussion. So obviously you're kind, you're patient. Hey, I don't like it when you do this thing. Can we maybe not do this anymore? That's pretty self-explanatory. However, it gets to a point where if this person's still doing that thing, or if this workplace or environment is still doing this thing, you then start being stern. Hey, you really need to understand that this is not okay. And if it keeps happening, there needs to be a point in time where you walk away. And it's really difficult in that point in time to walk away, but you really need to understand that there is a point in time where you need to walk away. That is protecting your peace. Why do we walk away? Why do we cut people off? There is such a thing that so many people talk about, but I feel that people kind of don't explain it that great. I feel like, I might explain it just the same, but energy exists. What do I mean by that? I mean, when you walk into, let's say you're walking into like a store, like a shop. You're walking into a shop and you lock eyes with the cashier. No one else is in the store. It's very quiet. Music is very mellow, and you don't know why. Maybe it's the color of the walls. Maybe it's the feeling of the drapes. But you just feel like you're not welcome. Sometimes people call that anxiety or imposter syndrome, and yeah, that's a thing too. But I'm talking about energy. I'm talking about the cashier who's standing probably, 5 meters away from you, eyeing you up and down and giggling to the girl, just next to her. It's energy that people radiate off, and that's emotions. That's the way people hold themselves and present themselves. You can just sense emotions around people. You can sense when you're welcome, when you're unwelcome, and that also ties in with relationships and friendships and family. Energy exists. And it is so important that we position ourselves around the right people, because frankly, when you are around someone whose energy is just draining and sad and angry and ugly and gross and just radiates all of that horrible, and I'm not going to say energy again, it just radiates all of that hatred. You don't want to be around someone like that. Why would you? That's not going to do you any good, nor is it the next person. But it's the fact that we're choosing to be around that. There's no reason to be around that. And especially when you start setting boundaries and the person keeps abusing that or just outright says, no, I'm not doing that, there needs to be a point in time where you cut that person off. But there is also a big factor of energy where you are in control of who you position yourself around. Wholeheartedly, you are in control. You have every right to go, no, I don't want this anymore. And you don't owe that person an explanation. And that's completely fine. But it is good to know when the energy is good and when the energy is off. People can drain you just as much as they can uplift you. There can be times when you're around people and you leave and you feel ecstatic and you go, oh my God, this is so great. I love these people. And that's wonderful. And there's also those people where you come home after spending time with them and you just feel like shit. And that is also energy. But, sometimes when it comes to boundaries, people can change through negotiation and through compromisation and also through just outright communication. But it is also important to be aware when something no longer serves you. I remember seeing a quote that I have since put on my wall, and I've probably had it on my wall for about a year now. The quote goes, people should add something to your life, not just exist in it. And I couldn't agree more. I feel like a lot of us are a bit afraid to let go of people. I'd be lying to you if I said that I'm not, because I am. I'm human. But overall, we have to remember, what's the point of having someone in your life and doing things for them and making time for them if they're not adding something to yours? It seems like a whole completely double negative, and it seems like a waste of time. But it also shows me that I'm not important enough on their radar at all, and I don't see why I should keep someone like that in my life. And I feel that a lot of people think cutting people off is such a negative thing, but overall, you got to remember that chapters always come to an end. Chapters never stay open, but we are constantly moving, we are constantly evolving as people. People grow apart, and that is normal. So if you see a notification on your phone that this person's unfollowed you or you've been blocked by someone, realistically, if you hadn't gotten that notification, I doubt that you probably would have even called them or messaged them within a week or within even a year. And that's okay. People change, people make decisions, that's okay. And that involves you too. You are allowed to cut people off whenever you want. But just know that when it comes to cutting people off, it is for your self-development. Especially when we're talking about on the phone, a device that is completely pandering to your interests. You are completely in control of that. There should be no excuse for anything on your phone to be affecting you in a sense of people or things that you consume on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat. That device is probably one of the very few things in your life that you have complete control over. And that's just reality. There is nothing stopping you from completely pandering that phone to your needs. And that is a big, big, big thing in protecting your peace. You are in control of your surrounds. You are in control of your environment. If there's somebody that is upsetting you from your past that you don't want to see anymore, block them. There's no one stopping you. Just block them. Get them out of your sight, get them off your mind, and because it's just holding you back. It's called self-sabotage. Everyone does it, but you need to understand that you have control completely to change that. There is no excuse to have that person on your phone anymore. That goes for photos, that goes for the type of content that you consume. I was telling my partner this earlier today. I like to go by the quote, "You are what you eat." You are literally what you consume. Whatever you're consuming online is what you are in person. And if that is negativity, then I'm sorry, babe, but that's what you are. It's just negativity. When it comes to protecting your peace, you need to control your surroundings. That even includes your room, the way that you present your room. That's probably me going, I haven't had any struggles in my life, but no, I've definitely been in some really terrible situations. I'd be lying to you if I said I was perfect. Nobody's perfect, but it's a mindset. It's okay. What can I do to improve my well-being, to protect my peace? I remember seeing a quote online, probably a few months ago now, saying something on the lines of, and it's literally just this statement, "Be a bitch if it means protecting your peace." And quite frankly, I couldn't agree more, because overall, I believe in kindness and understanding and patience, but there comes a point when you kind of just have to say, okay, no, you're being a fucking asshole, and that's okay. People can be assholes, and that's okay, but at least we are mature enough to stand up for ourselves and our peace. So, I'm trying to think if I have any other advice with this topic before I move on to another one. It's probably been about, this topic that I'm about to start talking about is quite new to me as well, hence why I've called this the Refinement Challenge, because I'm also going through it. I'm also learning things too. I'm only just starting to come to terms with the idea of, if somebody doesn't add value to your life, they do not deserve to be in it. I always thought that when it came to relationships, and when I mean that, I just mean general friendships, family, romance if you want, acquaintances, mutuals. I always thought, it's sometimes it's bad, sometimes it's good, and that's just life. And that's kind of what I've always thought for such a long amount of time, until I kind of just went, no, life's too short to be patient. If somebody is just existing and not attempting to be more present in your life, or attempting to call you the right name if you've changed your name, or if they're not even attempting to live up to the boundaries that you have just set, like I was just telling you before, why should they be given a place in your life? Why are we putting them on a pedestal if there is no attempt? I know that this phrase, if they wanted to, they would, is very debatable. I've used it for quite some time, and I've gotten a lot of heartbreak out of it, but here I am thriving, so I agree with it. I know when it comes to people, it is it's not hard to know if someone genuinely wants you in their life or not. It doesn't really take much science to figure out. It's like I said before, it's energy. It's, am I going to give this person my time of mind? Am I going to treat this person with basic respect? And I don't believe that those type of people should be allowed into the peaceful mindset that is now, hey, this is my life, quote unquote. I don't think that it makes sense. Why should I invite you into my space when you don't obviously want to be here? Oh my God, I remember a Gossip Girl quote. What is it? I've just been watching Gossip Girl, by the way. I've never watched it before. It's quite great. It's very dramatic. I love it. What is it? It's something on the lines of, I do not need anybody in my life that doesn't want to be there. Hip hip hooray, they've been saying this whole time. I like the mindset of, I am treating my life. No, not I'm treating my life. I'm protecting my life as if it is a temple. You know, my body is a temple. It's kind of like that, but for me, it's kind of just overall. I don't understand why I should be affected by someone's emotions or someone's expectations if it doesn't serve me anymore. There have definitely been times where I myself have been cut off from people, and that's fine. That's life. That's just what happens. If someone's going to cut you off, let them. It's fine, because quite frankly, I'm doing the same, so I don't understand why it's that big of a deal. I haven't spoken about this yet, but I also feel that it's important to note. I can't express how important it is to start journaling. I know a lot of people kind of think journaling is dear diary, but it's not. It's not just dear diary. It's, hey, how the fuck are we doing? Sometimes it's even just printing photos, cutting them up, and pasting them in your book, and that's fine. I think at the beginning of the year, I had a mood board, and that was great. That really helped me maintain focus on things that I wanted to meet this year. Hello, I'm literally starting a podcast that was on my mood board. Maybe that should be its own episode. No, I don't think it deserves an episode. Anyway, back on track. Journaling. I've started journaling probably about 3 months ago, and I really do have to say that it's helped so fucking much. There's a lot of things that go on in your brain that you kind of really want to talk to people about, but you don't usually have anyone to really burden all of your opinions at once to. Sometimes it's good to maintain a little bit mysterious, if you will, and sometimes it's good to not share the negatives of your life. By all means, if you have someone who you trust with your whole heart, go for it. In fact, I encourage it. But I also do know that this world can also be very fake. especially in this day and age. And I feel that you shouldn't put anything out there that can make you vulnerable. And that is by experience. You should only really share your successes online and keep the struggles to yourself, because no one else has to know about them. I think realistically, only the people you genuinely trust. And by saying that, I love my mom so much. I love my stepmom so much. Do I burden them with all my topics? Yes. Do I keep some things to myself? Of course. Where do they go? The journal. I swear to God, the journal. It has saved me from so many sleepless nights. It's ridiculous. I sound like an ad right now, but it's crazy. There have literally just been times where I have just cut up photos, stuck them in, and that's all I did. But it's nice. It's just time consuming. You treat it like a little scrapbook. You write your little messages in there, and it's great. But when you have to vent, and there are topics where you're kind of like, oh, it's not really something that I want to tell someone, journal it, babe. It's so fucking quick and easy. It only takes like 15 minutes a day. It's fine. But it doesn't always have to be, dear diary, I woke up, I had tea, and then I went to the bathroom and I had a shower. And it doesn't have to be like that. Sometimes I put in quotes. I don't know how many quotes I've given just in this one episode so far. Expect a lot of quotes from me. Sometimes I do song lyrics. Sometimes I'll see a TikTok and I'll be like, oh, that's really funny. Or, oh my God, I resonate with that so much. And I'll write that in. Sometimes it's stories, but it helps so fucking much, just as much as talking to someone in person. There are also topics that I advise not talking to people about, especially ones that involve other people. And when I mean that, I mean, let's say you're having an issue with a relationship. This isn't about me, by the way. Let's say you're having an issue with a relationship. That could be anyone, family, friend, colleague, anyone. And you go to someone else and you say, hey, this person's rah, 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 oh my God. And that person goes, yeah, rah, 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 oh my God. That person is planting more seeds into your brain negatively than what you would have if you went alone, figured it out, written it down, got all that off your chest. Because not only is that a dangerous game to play, it's affecting the relationship. Because now you're going back to that person, not only with the stuff that is the most important, which was the argument or the disagreement or the conversation that didn't fit well with you. You're going in with more little he said, she said bullshit. And what's the point of that? That does nothing but bring trouble. There's definitely been quite a few times where I've been in situations like that, where I've walked away and heard he said, she said, and it is the worst thing you can do for a relationship or for a friendship or even for family. Oh my God, it's the worst thing you can do. So I advise so highly that journaling is good for those moments. It's so fucking good, and you can, what is it called? You can manifest. And that's a whole other fucking episode on its own. But to summarize that, journal, my love. Oh my God. The first episode's always the shortest, right? Am I right? Like the first one's always the slowest and the most awkward. I'm sure I'll get better at it. It's only a matter of time. But overall, I mean, I'm a bit nervous because this is kind of the first impression. But let me try and summarize what we've spoken about this past session. I'm not a therapist. This past little conversation you and I have had. It is so important to set boundaries, because not only do you respect yourself, others gain more respect for you. There gets to a point in time where boundaries aren't working, you walk away. And I know it's hard. I know there were times where you will probably be kicking and screaming, wanting to stay, but you need to protect your peace. You need to walk away. Cutting people off is okay when it sees fits. when it makes sense. We cut people off when people no longer serve us anymore, when things aren't equal anymore, when things get nasty, when the energy shifts, when it's toxic. Not when it gets difficult, not when it gets boring. That is when you communicate like actual adults. But when it's not serving you anymore and you're tired of it and you're drained and you can't do it anymore, you need to go. You need to walk away. That is when you cut people off. That is when you're protecting your peace. By all means, attempt to journal. Journaling is such a beautiful little relaxation moment that is so healing, I've noticed. Try journaling. And that can be forms of journaling. You can write lyrics. You can write down quotes. You can even probably write a story. But write it down. Protect your peace, my love. It is so crucial to self-development and self-improvement. But not only that, it's so critical to your self-care. You owe it to yourself. You really do. It is such a bare minimum thing to take care of yourself, and this is one of the most important sides of it. Okay, I think that's a pretty decent amount of time for the first episode. I'm really excited for this episode, and also very nervous, but I'm sure I'll get better as time goes by, and I hope that any of these tips have at least helped you a little bit. And I look forward to the next episode. So I'm currently sitting on the floor. I think both of my legs are completely asleep. One of my legs is cramped and both my feet have pins and needles. So I'm going to attempt to sit up. My partner is outside, bless his lovely heart, in the freezing cold so he could give me space to record this. I feel terrible. I feel like I've just kicked him out of his own room. So I'm going to go consult him and warm him up now. But have the best week. Have the greatest week. And love to you all. Bye.